Before the headlines, before the arguments, and before the think pieces about stat padding, there was just one cold reality. Last night, Bam Adebayo scored 83 points. Not 43, not 53, not a cute career high, 83. That's the second most points in NBA history, passing Kobe Bryant's 81 and sitting behind only Wilt Chamberlain's 100. And the craziest part, this wasn't some mythical 2K simulation. This happened in a real NBA game, Heat vs Wizards, 150-129 Miami win. And Bam did it with a stat line that looks like somebody hacked the scoreboard, 20 for 43 from the field, 7 for 22 from 3, and a record 36 for 43 at the free throw line. So tonight we're telling the story of the night Bam Adebayo broke the NBA, how it happened, why it happened, and why the league is already split into two groups. The people calling it legendary, and the people calling it a fraudulent record. Let's set the stage. Coming into Tuesday night, Bam Adebayo was not being treated like an 80-point type of player. He's an all-star, a two-way anchor, the heart of Miami's identity, but 80-point games are supposed to be for flame-throwing guards on a heater. Then the game tips off against Washington. And within minutes, you could feel it, not because the crowd was loud, but because the Wizards looked helpless. Bam scored 31 points in the first quarter. Let that sink in. A center just dropped 31 points in a quarter like he was prime Harden with a postgame. By halftime, he had 43, and then the third quarter hits, and Bam keeps climbing. By the end of the third, he had 62, which means we were officially in uncharted water. Because at that point, the question wasn't about Bam's career night. It was about passing names on the all-time leaderboard. Everyone was wondering if he could pass Kobe's notorious 81-point game. The line everyone assumed was basically untouchable for modern basketball. And now Bam was within striking distance with 12 minutes still left. So here's the moment that changed the vibe of the entire game. Erik Spoelstra had a choice. Miami was winning. The game was a blowout. A normal coach sits his star, closes it out, and moves on. But Spoelstra left him out there, and the moment he did that, the game stopped being a regular season win and turned into a chase. Reports say Spoelstra kept Bam in specifically to pursue history. And once that became obvious, Washington didn't just lose the game, they became the setting for history. Because now the entire night revolved around one question. Can Bam actually do this? Because passing Kobe turns this game into an immortal box score. Now let's talk about how he got there, because this is where the internet started splitting in half. Bam got to 83 with 43 free throw attempts, an NBA record, and 36 makes, also a record. That's the part people can't stop arguing about. Some fans said it was ugly and unimpressive. Some said it was brilliant. Some said, if the defense keeps fouling, that's their problem. And others said, come on, the refs are giving him this record. The Guardians even framed it as a debate about whether Miami padded the numbers late. And if we're being honest, that controversy is exactly what made this moment explode it even harder. Because now it's not just a historic performance, it's a historic performance with controversy. But here's what you can't argue. Bam still had to make the free throws. He still had to carry the usage. He still had to keep attacking. And he still had to survive the physical load of putting up 43 shots and 43 free throws plus 22 threes. Kevin Durant literally put it best after the game. He called out the sheer stamina it took to even attempt that many shots and free throws, and said it's something we'll be talking about forever. His final points came from the line with 1:16 remaining. And when he crossed 81, you could feel the shift, because that number is Kobe's number. That's sacred NBA lore, and Bam passed it. He ended on 83, officially locking himself into the rarest list in basketball. The kind of list you learn as a kid. Wilt, Kobe, now Bam. And once the buzzer sounded, that's when the night turned from crazy into surreal. Because all-time moments don't feel real in the moment, they feel like the league glitched. And that's exactly what this was. Now here's the part most people will miss if they only saw the number. This wasn't just a scoring night, it was a moment where Bam Adebayo's identity changed. Because for years, Bam has been described as a modern big. Playmaking hub, face-up game, occasional mid-range, switchable defender. But nobody talked about him as a guy who can take a game hostage for 48 minutes. Last night changed that, and it changed it so violently that now the league has to answer a new question. If Bam can hit 7 threes, live at the line, bully mismatches, and punish the paint like that? What does guarding Miami even look like when he's in that mode? because this wasn't a cute, hot shooting game. It was pressure, it was relentless. It was Bam deciding the Wizards were not allowed to survive a single possession without feeling him. And the Wizards couldn't adjust. Miami ended up winning comfortably. Washington took their 9th straight loss, and they were playing without Trae Young. But even that detail becomes background noise, because once a player hits 80, the opponent becomes a footnote. And that's exactly why this game matters for Bam's legacy more than people realize. Because Bam Adebayo has spent his whole career living in the respected category. Respected defender, respected leader, respected all-star. But history doesn't remember respected. History remembers moments. It remembers the nights where the NBA has to pause and update the way it talks about you. And last night was one of those nights, because 83 is a permanent stamp. It's the kind of thing that follows you for the rest of your life. 10 years from now, when some random player is at 58 points in the third quarter, the broadcast isn't going to say, "He's chasing Kobe." They're going to say, "He's chasing Bam." That sounds insane, but that's literally how these lists work. Once you're on them, you don't come off, and here's my take. This game didn't just add a stat to Bam's resume, it changed the way his career will be framed. There's a difference between being a great player and being a player who can steal an entire night from the league, and that's what he did. He stole the entire NBA's attention for a full evening, and whether you loved the free throws or hated them, you still checked the box score. You still watched the clips, you still had an opinion. That's superstar gravity. And the funniest part is Bam didn't even do this in some perfect highlight reel way that people usually demand before they hand out respect. It was messy, it was physical, it was repetitive. It was him saying, "You're either going to guard me clean or you're going to watch me break records at the line." And to me, that makes it even more revealing, because it showed something that's been hiding in plain sight with Bam for years. He always had this in him. Miami just didn't usually let him live there. The Heat's whole identity is balanced discipline, play the right way. Everybody touching it. Bam is usually the guy setting screens, making the extra pass, anchoring the defense, doing the unglamorous work. Last night was what happens when that guy decides for one night he is not going to play a role. He's going to play like the main character, and that matters going forward because now every team that plays Miami has to carry a new thought into the scouting report. What if Bam just decides to go? Not 83, obviously. That's not realistic to expect again, but the mindset shift is real. If Bam has learned that he can put teams in foul trouble, bend the defense, hit threes when they're giving him space, and take over in a way people weren't ready for, that changes Miami's ceiling in a playoff series. Because playoff basketball is about forcing teams into uncomfortable choices. And if Bam can force that choice, stay small and get punished, go big and get dragged, play physical and risk foul trouble, that gives Miami one more lever they can pull when the offense gets stuck. And that's the real takeaway from the 83. It's not Bam is going to score 80 again. He won't. Nobody does. It's that the league now has proof that Bam can flip the switch from connector to closer, from do everything big to "this is my game now." That matters for his legacy because this is the difference between being remembered as an elite Heat big and being remembered as an all-time moment guy. Bam already has the resume people respect: all-star, elite defender, finals run centerpiece. This is the type of night that makes casual fans remember your name without needing context. And it matters for the NBA because now the list is updated forever. Wilt, Bam, Kobe, that's it. So here's the question I want to leave with you. When you saw 83, did it feel like a legendary masterpiece? Or did the free throw record make it feel weird? And does this change where you rank Bam among the best bigs in the league right now? Drop your take in the comments below. If you enjoyed the breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.